the chat. So I'm so glad you're here. And I just want to say thank you to you specifically for asking this question. And I'll read exactly the question that you asked me so that I can sort of stay on topic. And I wanted to not just send a quick message. I've been really reflecting on this. I thought, it'd be better to go live and sort of actually talk about the specific things that came up. And this is very much free flow and coming off of the top of my brain. But I've been sitting with the question you asked me because you're writing about art techniques and its effects on the human soul. And you said you thought of my beautiful paintings, and thank you for that. And you asked me, how does it make me feel? Or do I have any ideas around how art can make people feel more relaxed and at peace? And this is something that I reflect on all of the time because, when our platform is Art Heals Earth School. So yes, so this is something that I actively do for my own self and teaching other people and guiding really other people as well in the process of creation for inner peace. And that's one of the main reasons why I create art, to be able to regulate my own self and experience the emotions that do come over me in waves through an outlet that is productive in the end. There's something that I can walk away and feel like I was not just having a roller coaster experience, but I channeled through something. And sometimes it's a tangible thing that comes to fruition, or sometimes it's performance based and has a short life period or a short lifespan. Nonetheless, it's a creation and a vibration that's created from it being that experience of art. And I always bring back the term that we've coined here, which is art is the aligned resonant truth. And so when we're talking about art and the human soul, it's crucial for us to remember that the resonance of truth, aligning with that, is what art is by our definition. Art heals is aligned resonant truth. Art harmoniously elevates, autonomously levitates systems, meaning when we harmonize with the aligned resonant truth, it elevates us. It brings us up to a new level, one where we are autonomous, meaning we have agency, we are sovereign beings, and we are levitating. We're not held down by anything in our bodily system, in our emotional system, in our system as a society, in our system as a human race, in our system as a planetary system. And that's something that I've played with a lot over the years since we've come up with that, acronym or acrostic for the meaning of Art Heals. And so that's something that not only I carry with myself, but every time I create in conscious awareness, because sometimes artists do create from the subconscious mind, and we see that a lot, and that's why a lot of very sad things have happened to artists. And that's one of the things we don't like to look at in terms of how art connects to the human soul. People say, oh, I'm spiritual. And it's like, what kind of spirits are we talking about here? Because there is a light and a dark to everything, or rather I don't like to make it light and dark because it's not what people often associate those words to mean. There are sides to all of this, and there is polarization, but there's oneness as a whole. So I don't want to take it too metaphysical, but in terms of different art techniques, which is the specific question, I reflect on a million different ways that I've utilized art to be able to better heal, not only my own self, but to walk away with a channel or some kind of expression that other people can feel, when that's a huge responsibility as artists that we don't always pay attention to. You as an artist have the ability to write or sing or paint or dance, creating in some kind of way that a lot of people on our planet do not have the skill sets to. It's very important to take responsibility of that and be able to hold accountable oneself, to be able to recognize that we are creating not only for ourselves and channeling from the place that we are personally experiencing, but whenever we let go of the personalization and the ego around that, we recognize that that is an act that the divine is asking of us to be able to help others better cope with, understand, and heal from the circumstances of life today. If you do it in a way that's timeless, then it's not just of today. It's something that can live on for a really long period of time. And that's something that I think is so exquisite and so beautiful. And I remind myself of this as I'm creating often, because it's a very important thing to be able to recognize that we're doing that when we're doing that. For me, I know that there have been times I've created certain collections of works, bodies of portfolios, whether that's a ceramic vessel based on a poem, based on a song, or even just, a painting that's based on some kind of vision. A lot of the time, those are pieces of artwork that I'm creating actively and recognizing this is a marking of all of existence channeling through these hands. And that sounds sort of dramatic to someone who maybe has not experienced that directly, but whenever you are really thinking about consciously how art relates to the human soul, you recognize it's not an exaggeration by any means. I am so happy because with these children that I am going to return to soon enough, I've been reflecting on how we've been watching Harry Potter, and that's something I haven't done in such a long time. I haven't had a movie marathon in since I was their age, basically. And I forgot how much I loved that series of Harry Potter. And fiction is something I completely basically forgot even existed. Over the past year, I've reminded myself in various aspects of how that was such a big part of my life as a creative, as a creator. To be able to channel my creativity through writing fiction, through fantasy, through imagination. And it always has a deeper metaphorical relationship to our physical reality, or the holistic capital T truth. And Harry Potter is a great example of that. And last night we watched The Deathly Hallows Part 1. And to me, I think about the Horcruxes. And if you've never seen Harry Potter or are unfamiliar, very briefly, I'll just say that there's a Dark Lord, a Dark Wizard, who splits his consciousness, his human soul, his wizard soul, into different parts to live on through an artifact. I'll leave it at that. It's very dark magic what he's talking about, or what this storyline is. Whenever I think about what creation actually is, though, in a way, that's sort of what we do when we create. Now, granted, you don't have to murder somebody to be able to have a painting that lives on forever like you would have to do when creating a Horcrux. But it's just something that made me think of a technique that we use to be able to connect to our soul further. When I sing a song, and whether it's just played and the resonance exists out in the universe, or if it's something that gets played and then recorded to be able to be played back over time, either way, the resonant vibration of that in its pure essence lives on. A good example of this is a series that I did in college. I met with Dr. Klemenko, who is the high energy physicist at the University of Florida, who created the technology which proved Albert Einstein's theory of gravitational waves, which he created 100 years ago. Dr. Klemenko's technology at UF, my alma mater, was proven correct. He proved Einstein correct a century later. I just so happened to knock on his door and ask him for an interview because I had a project where I needed to create paintings based on a hard science in the STEM department. And so I met this high energy physicist. He had said, okay, I have about 5 minutes, and he kept me there for 2 hours. And I ended up painting a triptych, a 12-foot long series of 3 paintings which tell the story, or the account in reality, of scientifically the highest energy phenomenon in all of existence, when neutron stars collide. That's the name of the painting series. And I was the first person ever in history to create a visualization of what it might look like when neutron stars collide. We don't know what it looks like because we've never been able to point a telescope out into space at 2 neutron stars colliding before. Never. Now, it's equal energy whenever 2 black holes collide, and we also don't really know what that looks like, although we have been able to point a telescope at it. It's black holes. You can't really see much. So why I'm sharing this is because 100 years ago, Albert Einstein theorized gravitational waves. And then about 20 years ago, when I was still a child, Dr. Klemenko developed this technology with his partners. And then in 2012, they detected the first ever gravitational wave movement. Tiny, 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 tiny movement. Like 1/100th of the width of a single human hair, like microscopically small. And it happened out in space 100,000 light years away and ago, because it was a past event that took that much time to travel to us, and by the time it got here, it was that small. And then just by happenstance, me going into his office, I painted the first depiction, and then after it was painted, they detected where they could point the telescope at black holes colliding. So that moment in history created an opportunity for me to split a part of my consciousness off into these giant paintings, which still exist, and far beyond me. Like Albert Einstein's theory of gravitational waves lived on far beyond him. And just like Dr. Klemenko's invention of LIGO technology, L-I-G-O technology, will live on far, far beyond him. Just like the neutron star's collision hundreds of thousands of light years ago and away in space lived on far beyond it. And that to me is the power of art. Aligned, resonant truth. The resonant vibration of those gravitational waves is what got that art here. It's what created the art that were channeled through the hands by the divine, through my vessel of this body that I identify as mine. That's a much broader answer to a question as simple as, how does it make me feel to have art as a part of my life? What are the effects of it on the human soul? But it's a very deep question. It's a very deep question. And there's simplicity, because often we underestimate the power of journaling our thoughts and feelings. We underestimate the power of humming a song, singing a tune, drawing a picture. But these are acts that should never be underestimated, because they are what can actually resonantly, vibrationally transmit peace on earth through one single human choice. That's a very serious thing. A very serious thing. Something that moves me as a human in the heart. It's a powerful, powerful, powerful act. And it should not be underestimated. And so while I could say, here are 3 tips to bring yourself more relaxation, and maybe I will do that just for tangible, walking away action items, the point behind what I'm saying is that it's so much deeper than something you can just check off of a list. At least the way I see it. Because I truly, truly understand the fact that aligned resonant truth, A-R-T, art, heals. It harmoniously elevates us. It autonomously levitates our system. And I truly see that even in speaking with just one or just 2 of you today, for the 25 minutes that I do, it creates a lasting ripple effect, just like the ring down in phase 3 of when 2 neutron stars collide out in space. It can reverberate out in concentric circles and make an impact on our planet that seems unfathomable. One would think might be illogical and something that cannot always even be perceived or seen by our human lens. That's real and deep. And so I never take for granted the connection that I, as a human designed projector, might have to amplify one other soul on the planet. I think Deepak Chopra said that the most important thing you'll ever do is the thing right in front of you right now. The most important person you'll ever speak to is the person you're speaking to right now. The most important thing you'll ever say is the thing you're saying right now in this moment. And that is so poignant. That is palpable. That is felt. It is real. The connection that we can have through art, I'm experiencing it right now. Sometimes it's channeled in words, and sometimes it's channeled through clicks and clacks on the piano keys, or vibration from the vocal cords with songs that land in notes and melodies. And sometimes it blends and mixes as paint or pastel, or is crushed down and baked in thousands of degrees in clay. Maybe it's scrapbooked and glued and Mod Podged together. Maybe it's typed and printed and published as a book, as a magazine, or it's filmed through a lens and is developed as photography or motion picture. Maybe it's virtual reality, or nowadays maybe it comes through TikTok. But all of it can be listed as creation and real, lasting, palpable, tangible, malleable effect on the human soul. And that's not even scratching the surface of creation, because what we as women can do in partnership is create life. If we can create life, we can create the life we want. And so my message in this last moment, before I go run off and be with children, which is my favorite result of creation of all things, is that you too, man or woman, can create the life you want. And a great way to start is through art. We must align with the resonance of truth to see it created in our reality. I'm here today to tell you it's possible to. I'm here as a living example of that. And every day I remind myself of that. And every day I'm offered opportunities just like this to address this kind of topic. Because every day, even the days that have been hard, and even the days that have turned into weeks, months, and even years that I've gotten off of that track, I'm always brought back to this path of delivering the truth in a resonance of alignment. And so I'm grateful that sometimes it turns into colors blending on paper or canvas that leave a print in the minds of others, that when they close their eyes, they see it. I'm grateful that it can channel through in a symphony of sound that people might hum under their breath in repetition of something that came through my very vocal cords. To me, that's so powerful. To hear a child sing a song that you pieced together like a puzzle is one of the greatest gifts of my lifetime to experience. And all of these things bring me a sense of peace and relaxation that I wish I could put into words for you. My only hope is that in sharing this now with you, you understand even a glimpse of what that feels like. It's the same kind of love that your grandmother had in a recipe that she had passed down from her lineage down to, that went into that meal that she gets to watch the first bite be taken from someone that is here as a result of her own gestation. It's the same feeling, I'd imagine. One day I'll get the chance to know what that feeling actually is like, inshallah. These are the facets of the human soul and the ways that art barely scratches the surface of them. What a beautiful divine thing that truly is. And so thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit about that. And if there are further questions, feel free to put them in our Divine Feminine Global Community group chat. If anyone's watching playback and you need the link to that, it's in the description below, along with some of our other work and partners and resources that have positively impacted me along my journey. I encourage you to check those things out, and so many good things to come. This is just the beginning. Thank you very much. If nobody's told you today, I love you. All right, it's time for me to go spend some playtime in nature and in the sunshine. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day.